you've probably heard that the classic dish is kimchi. And that is very true. It's eaten at every meal. You cannot avoid that. There's no way out. You can like it or you can hate it, but you will have to eat it. Kimchi is fermented cabbage. The way they make it is it's a different kind of cabbage. I think it's a Napa cabbage. Napa cabbage. I think that's what it is. But it's long, it's tall, with like a white base with the green leaves at the top, and they take it and they slice it in half, take those halves, stick it in a salt brine, take those halves out, slice it in quarters, and then they stick them back in a salt brine. And then once they've kind of fermented a little bit, they mix it with pepper powder. They have this thing where it's it's shrimp and salt water. It's quite salty actually, but they're really teeny tiny shrimp, and they mix that in there sometimes too. On occasion, I've seen oysters, but that's pretty rare. But typically, it's just the fermented cabbage that it's spiced up, and once you get used to it, it's actually quite good. And a lot of their dishes is kind of are centered around that in such a way that you'll find a lot of dishes that are made with kimchi. So kimchi is not only a side dish, but they make like tons of stuff with kimchi. Korea, I think, in my opinion, has some of the best barbecue in the world. It's very world-renowned and famous, and yes, it'll blow your mind. It is absolutely amazing. My personal favorite is probably, I really like dak galbi, which is like chicken ribs, but it's like the meat off the ribs. So usually it's served with like hunks of chicken, spicy pepper sauce with little rice cakes and the cabbage and onions, and you fry that up like on your own. Usually when you go to a restaurant, you sit on the floor and they have a little burner, or it looks like a pancake griddle actually, but or like a frying pan. Usually it's cast iron. It's in the center of the table built in. You turn that on, the heat under it, and then you fry your meat and all your stuff, and you eat it in like a little lettuce leaf, and it's really good. Samgyeopsal is quite a good classic dish. That's fried pork on a lettuce leaf, and you eat it kind of like a little lettuce pork burrito. There's a lot of variety in Korea, though. They eat lots of noodle dishes. My favorite in the summertime was this dish called naengmyeon, where it was basically just a bowl of cold noodles with kind of like frozen beef broth, and you could throw in some spicy stuff. Like it reminded me of mustard, but I don't think it was that exactly. And it had a few other things in it too. It was just phenomenal. I actually didn't like it when I first tried it, but the next summer on my mission, it was absolutely amazing. Bibimbap is also a classic dish in Korea. I would recommend trying that before you go. It's typically just a big bowl of mixed vegetables with a fried egg and some spicy sauce that you can pour in, and it's really good. Koreans love food, and they love healthy food, and a lot of their culture is kind of centered around that in many ways. When you eat food, just be sure to eat all the food that's given to you, every grain of rice, just because it comes from the Korean War when they didn't have a lot of food, and so food was so scarce to them that when they had it, they ate all of it, every single grain of rice, and so they still kind of practice that in some ways today. So, let's see other things about food. So their barbecue is great. They have lots of great noodle dishes. Kimchi is obviously really important. They make a really good kimchi stew. It's called kimchi jjigae, and that is just awesome. They take kimchi, they boil it with pork and sometimes tuna fish, and they put tofu and onions, and you eat it over rice, and that's really, really good. Probably the most classic foreign dish, though, that foreigners eat, or at least here in the States, is probably bulgogi. It's just beef with Chinese clear noodles and carrots and onions kind of sautéed. occasionally you can get mushrooms, but that kind of leads over to a different dish called japchae. But bulgogi is pretty good. It's kind of marinated in a really good sauce. You'll love Korean food. There may be a few dishes you may not like at first, but I promise that if you do your best to eat it, and you'll acclimate to it in a way, or you'll, I guess your taste buds will change. I know like when I ate kimchi the first time, it tasted like food garbage. It was the worst, and the smell was so bad. But after about 4 weeks, I could handle gagging it down. I could handle it. After 4 weeks of just eating it, and about 6 months, I was like, this is actually not bad. It's pretty good. And after about a year, I'm like, hey, this is great stuff. And by the time I went home, I was like, I need to take this home with me. This stuff's so good. It's just, I guess it's a form of brainwashing, but it's a good kind.